Hello, my name is Rich Howard, owner of Architectural Builders Supply, and this video is to bring you a closer look at the Danjo. This is their part number 151 CWAB. This is a door reinforcing plate, one of the two product lines that Danjo is absolutely most famous for. If you know the name Danjo, it's probably for a wraparound plate like this. This is the 151, and the 151 in the part number, as do all the different part numbers from Danjo, indicate the dimensional properties. Its size, its height, its width, its location of its preparations, what it's prepped for, the thickness of the door that it's prepped for. It all conspires, that part number does, to give you all of the compatibility, where this is going to end up being used. So this is a CW, it's a commercial wrap. At one point, Danjo had their IW, I think it was called, interior wrap. I don't really know the difference, except that CW is used to differentiate it from IW. I suspect that it was a thinner material that they had at one time. And then it's AB. This is antique brass. Very nice antique brass finish. And by the way, we do occasionally get calls from clients saying that the hardware is damaged and scratched. No, that's just the peel-away protective film. I don't mean to call out people that don't detect that, because there are times when it does just simply appear to be scratched, but countless folks have called, whether it be a reinforcing plate or a specimen pass-through cabinet or a kick plate, it's scratched. Did you peel away the protective film? So be sure to check that. In many products, it's going to be there. Some manufacturers have gone away from clear and have gone to white. We had that with specimen cabinets, actually. They went to white because it was so it was an issue. So the 151, let's go over what this is, and it really is going to boil down to a dimensional review of the item itself. They say that this is 9-inch tall, that this is 4-inch wide, it's for an 1 3/8 thick door. This is going to have 2 lock holes in it at a 3 5/8 center to center. Okay, indeed. These are going to be at a, it looks like it's 2 3/8, but the fact that it's for an 1 3/8 thick door kind of goes along with the 2 3/8 backside. Indeed, 2 1/8 inch hole. The preparation in the edge of this is going to be 2 1/4 by 1 inch. So that's 2 1/4 tall, and it's 1 inch wide there. And it's made of solid brass. Nothing ferrous about that. And it is in an antique brass finish. A really nice antique brass. I've been, looking at antique brass for many years, and this is certainly a faithful antique brass. This is going to include fasteners. You're going to get a total of 8, 4 long and 4 short. The long ones are obviously to hold the unit onto the door. The short ones are so that you can attach your latch bolt directly to the hardware itself into these inserted nuts that are here. So what you'll do is you'll literally attach your latch bolts to this and tighten the latch bolts down and install that onto the door as a complete unit. Now, if anything changes dimensionally of this, the thickness of the door, the center of the holes, the back set, the height, the width, anything changes, the part number inherently changes. This is a 151, and a 151 means all of those dimensions. The width, the height, the hole centers, the whole 9 yards. Now, installing this, I've installed these, and they can be, they're not difficult to install, but they can be frustrating if you don't approach it from a patient perspective, because this has a definite thickness. Your door and frame may or may not be installed in such a way that you can suffer the inclusion of something that has a thickness of, my caliper is telling me 0.039. So, an additional 32nd of an inch plus. But it's really going to be more than that, because your door is not going to be absolutely to the edge here. So that effective margin that's going to require is certainly going to be pushing a 1/16 of an inch. So if you don't have a spare 1/16 of an inch between the edge of the door and the jamb, you'll find that that will be difficult to get installed so that the door actually smoothly closes. You can probably get it to the jamb and then push it closed, but that's not the point. So the patient part comes in realizing that you are probably going to have to do some work to prep your door to receive this, because you're adding material thickness to the door. At that part of the door is no longer whatever width it was. It's now wider. So I have found that when I install these, depending on the damage, I've got to get in there and really chisel out the broken material. Sometimes that bows or bellies the door out. Remove that material. Maybe if you need to make this a multi-day project where you can remove the broken material, glue the door back together as much as possible, depending on the level of damage, to give yourself a little bit of modicum of structural integrity to the door itself. It could also be that there's not much damage at all, and getting this installed is no big deal, and you've got 1/8 of an inch or heavier anyway, and it's still going to work. So be mindful that you might have to go from doing very little work. Very little work does mean that you probably are going to have to mortise out for these latch bolts, because the preparation in the edge of the door would not accommodate this larger preparation here. So you'd probably have to clear that area out to get this to sit flat in the first place. All the way up to maybe planing your door down to really make some room, gluing it, reclamping it, or mortising the edge of the door so that this can become flush. If you are in a hospital or a healthcare application, they often have stainless steel angle guards, corner protectors. They're just stainless angle, 2x2, 3x3, 4x4, inch and a half, whatever it is, for walls. But then for doors, they'll do edge sets, or they'll do an angle sort of edge set, and that material can be mortised to the edge of the door so that it fits flush. So you might have to do that with this as well. Rarely do people take it to that extent, but if you need to make the door operate smoothly, close securely, you might need to alter that door a little bit. So be mindful. That could be more work than just, my door, whether it was vandalism or a break-in, or you left your keys inside and you put your shoulder into the door a couple of times. Depending on how much damage was done, you might have small work or lots of work. Let's switch to the screen view and take a closer look at the supporting documentation. Okay, so here is the item that we are indeed looking at here. Classic wrap front. Double lock combinations, 2 1/8 holes, 3 5/8 center. The screws, the back set, the door thickness, the size, the gauge. They said 032. My caliper told me 039. There is that film that's applied to it, which will have a certain thickness. I don't think it's 7/1000ths of an inch, but it could be. Made of brass in an antique brass finish. When you buy one, we'll ship you one. Here's a link to the template. This will give all of the dimensional properties beyond what we've already provided, and also tells us about different finishes. PB is polished brass, AB is antique brass, BZ is bronze, 10B is oil rubbed bronze, and S is stainless. Be mindful. Donjo does not make an oil rub bronze product. If you order 10B, it's going to be a dark brown powder coat. Word to the wise, it will be complementary to oil rub bronze, but the use of the term 10B means oil rub bronze, and powder coating dark brown paint over a piece of probably stainless base material is not 10B, is not oil rub bronze. However, in all fairness, it will be complementary, and powder coating is an incredibly durable finish that is going to stay stable, and I think would be very appropriate for use in hardware where you're going to have contact with the face of the door, the lock area. Okay. This document, this hardware does not change much at all, as you can see by the date on that document. There's then the product catalog, and the product catalog is very handy because you may not have any idea what latch protector you need, and you may not yet have called us to help you determine that part number. Well, we would be happy for you to call, place the order over the phone, and we'll get that part number. But if you would like to do the research yourself, here's the document. So all I did was a find function on my keyboard for 151, and I got to the page where I found the 151 and the table where its other sister products are. If you have an 1 3/4 door and everything else is the same, you need a 261. Okay, they apparently do this a little bit wider in a 4 1/4 size. I would guess that that has everything to do with accounting for the hardware that you may have installed, the diameter of the rosette. Oh, forgive me. Okay, it's clearly wider because you have a deeper back set. So it does have everything to do with the hardware. We've just relocated where the hardware is. So 1 3/4 door with a 2 3/4 back set. That's why it's going to be a little bit wider. Okay. Other items are here as well. Obviously, the typical single latch guards, full 9-inch height. They can also do these in a 4.5-inch height. These are for deadbolts with an 1.5-inch hole. Variations on double hole preps here. Variations for a particular lock, a lever lock with through bolts. And then on and on and on. Blank, I've had people order blank plates because they need to customize where they're going to drill everything, and that's exactly what they want. They don't want holes in it. They want it literally to be blank. Or you're removing hardware and you just want to blank that off. And there you go. And I've had people remove hardware and then use this as a push-pull, and they will add a pull handle right over this. So kind of convenient in order for that to make that work. I would suggest at least a 5x12 for that sort of application. You know, I don't recall anyone using a 20-inch wrap for that application, but if you've got multiple locks on a door and you're closing it all off, you'll be looking at something like that. And then you get into door reinforcing wraparound plates for particular type of lock applications, and here they are. Okay, so very handy. Just lock-specific models as we continue to scroll through. Mortise lock versions here. A unit lock to a lever lock. A unit lock would be if you were kicking around in the 1950s, you probably bumped into unit locks. A unit lock, and they're still manufactured, is a lock that is a pre-assembled lock, meaning there's nothing to do to install this lock once it's prepped except literally attach the fasteners, which is how locks generally are, but even with a cylindrical lock, you have more than one step involved. Unit locks are known to be outrageously robust, extremely heavy duty, very simple to install. They take a very unusual prep in the door. I was going to say it's neither a cylindrical nor a mortise. It's a unit lock. That's the preparation that you'll see for a unit lock. It's a large notch in the door. Why is that important? Well, it's important to know that they manufacture a conversion for that. So this specific size will be based on that unusual 3 5/8 by 1 3/4 large notch that's done through the door. You don't really see them installed anymore, and I haven't seen one. I was in a National Guard facility maybe in the 1990s, and the building was full of unit locks. Well, it was built in the 1950s, and it was all rotary red oak wood doors as well, which you don't see except in that sort of time frame, etc. You get the concept. Variations on these themes. Okay. Now they can also do, and here's a reference to that interior wrap, but if you try to order that from them, they won't fulfill the order. They'll send you a CW, a commercial wrap. When I asked them to explain the difference, they declined giving me any sort of idea or direction. I can only infer that it must have been a much thinner base material, a much thinner material. They can also do flat front on these, where there is no mortised or recessed area for this. You can use that sort of application when the latch bolt's going to stay attached to the door, if you like, and you can basically leave the latch bolt in place and put a front right over it. That may work out for you very well. Okay. Now, there's a link here below this video to the manufacturer's page, and when we click on that, it will pull up not only all of the Danjo products that we sell, but also a link to the manufacturer's website, as well as a link to the full product catalog. But that full product catalog is broken down into several subsections, as seen here. I had mentioned 2 products that you likely know Danjo for. It would be their wraparound plates and their latch protectors. Okay, lots of other products here, though. They do make door pivots, they make hinges, ladder pulls, they make push and pull hardware, they make flat goods like kick plates, armor plates, mop plates, stretcher plates, things of that nature. Let's wrap up this video on camera. In conclusion, nice quality product from Danzhou. They're a company who has a relatively petite footprint in the industry. They're an independent company. They make a rather unique product line of security hardware in general and door hardware, trim and auxiliary hardware. The people over at Danzhou are skilled, knowledgeable. They are invested in your success. The rare occasion that they make a mistake, they, in almost all instances, make it correct immediately. And we appreciate them for the willingness to just keep the process moving along, so to speak. If you have any questions on the Danzhou, this is a commercial wrap, a 151, in an AB finish or any other Danzhou product, please feel free to reach out to us. And thank you. Again, thank you for watching, and if you've enjoyed this video, please click thumbs up. Please subscribe and maybe even send the video to someone that you know. Thank you.